Google Sheets and Forms are two very powerful tools. Best of all, they are absolutely free. These two tools together will provide you a complete system over your data management. They save automatically right into your Google Drive. Let's take a look together to see how you can get started using these tools. You are probably collecting tons of student data in your class every day, with every assignment, with every lesson. What is important about these pieces of data? Start thinking now about pieces that you would like to track over time so that you can see trends in student progress. Think about specific success markers that allow you to see if that student is making progress or if you need to tweak a lesson. You could be thinking about test scores by area or domain, performance indicators, something that will be measurable over time. Think about data that is already in a numerical form. What about interventions? How do you know if your intervention is being successful to getting the outcomes that you would like to have? Probably the most difficult part of this whole process is building your first data sheet. Think about how you will organize your rows and columns. Think about how you would like to view the data that you have thought about that's important to tracking student progress. Of course, you're going to need one column that has the students' names in it, but specifically think about breaking down your other columns into very specific data. Data that is numerical is absolutely perfect for putting into a spreadsheet, but you can also have very specific markers with words too. Just make sure that you're being very specific and then break it down so that you create another column for another separate piece of data. Try not to put too much data in any one column or row. After you have your basic sheet built, you're going to insert simple functions such as a sum or an average so that you can start to analyze that data. Lastly, we're going to see how we can create charts so that you can visually see the trends in your data. So here is a simple sheet that I built on my data. You can see over here on the left, I have my student names. Then I have some scores and some data that I'm tracking throughout the school year. I have the fluency scores, the comprehension, and the accuracy. And then I can see how my students are doing on an average. So over here I have a formula added, and I'll show you how I added that average. I'm going to click in the row below the data for that column. Then I'll click Insert, and I want to insert a function called average. You can see that the cursor is blinking in the middle of the parentheses. So what I want to do is to click and drag the cells that I want to average. Then I can click enter. This is the average comprehension for this group of students. I can do the same thing with the accuracy, and then you can start to see trends in the data. Google Sheets is very powerful. You can see the many other functions that you can utilize to analyze your data. It is similar to inserting a function to insert a chart. You will be clicking and dragging to select the data and then click Insert Chart so that a chart will be created based on the cells that you have selected in your sheet. So now we're going to select our data. I'm selecting all of the column headings as well as the data, but not the formulas. So I'm not selecting my averages. Now I'm going to insert that chart. You can see that the chart is pulling all the names of my headings. over my data, but it's also, instead of putting in each score, it's making a numerical representation. So it's creating these bars to show the differences between these different types of data. And now I can see visually how they are related. Over on the right hand side, you can see that this now popped up as soon as I inserted my chart. I can see that I have a chart editor. I can set up my chart so I can change the chart type. You can kind of see an overview of how the different representations are going to look. And then I can continue to scroll down to see different ways to see my data. To customize my chart, I can change the colors if I would like to. So it's telling me which series, and notice as soon as I clicked on one of these, it selected all of them. If I don't want accuracy to be yellow, it says fill color right here. So I can change that color if I would like. So you choose what kind of colors that you want in your type to show your data. You can also set up a legend differently. If you don't like this legend, you can change your fonts, your text colors, anything here on your chart that you want to show the data, you can change. Another way to build your sheet to track your data is to build a leaderboard. A leaderboard can be great for tracking a competition, but it can also be useful for categorizing qualitative data. So, data that is not necessarily a number. You're going to insert a drop down and then add data validation. Here's an example of a simple leaderboard. You can see that I still start with my first column with their student names, and then I have a drop down for each of my columns for them to earn different amounts of points, and then it's added up here on the right hand side. Another type of column I could add is for the qualitative data. So I wanted to show you how you could do that. So I'm going to insert that drop down. Then when I click on that drop down, I'm going to add my data validation rules. So you'll see that it's coming up with option 1 and option 2. That's not really what I want to say. So I can change that right here. I can change that to beginning. And I can decide that that's red. Then I can have another one. I could call this one proficient. You could add another one, developing. And so on. And so you can add all of your qualitative data. And then when I click done, you can see that I have all 3 of these choices here now. So that when I choose this, it's going to show up here. Notice in the second column, it's not showing up. So I'll have to copy this cell all the way down. So I can click here on this cell where it turns into like a plus, and then I'm going to drag it all the way down my data. Then for each of my students, I can select exactly where they are. And it's already color coded for me because I did that under my data validation rule. Right from Sheets, you can add a form from the Tools menu. Forms and Sheets work together. So just like we just use our answer validation in our Sheets to add and categorize different data, we can use answer validation to automatically grade a quiz that we build using forms. You can then view the responses from your form, whether that's a survey or a quiz, right into a linked sheet. So if you already created your sheet, you can create the form there. But if you haven't created your sheet yet, you can create your form and create a sheet right from the form. When you create your new form, you will see 3 tabs at the top saying questions, responses, and settings. Click on the settings tab and toggle on make this a quiz. It's that easy. As you add your questions and the possible answers, right below you can click on Answer Key. You can set the points, but you can also provide automatic feedback that will show up for both correct and incorrect answers. In this way, you can guide your students and make your assessment a learning experience all the way through, giving them hints so that they can learn through the assessment. When you are in Forms and you are in the Questions tab, you can scroll down underneath your answers and you can click on Answer Key. Answer key is where you can set how many points this is worth, what the correct answer is, and then you can add your feedback for correct answers and incorrect answers. And when you're done, click Save. When you are done creating your survey or quiz, you can click on this little eye icon at the top and you can preview to make sure that your quiz or survey is exactly the way you desire it to be. Lastly, before anybody can use your form, you will need to click Publish. And then you can click on the link to send it out to your surveyors or your quiz takers. To complete the loop and to go right into analyzing the results, you can click Link to Sheets. You can either create a new sheet or link to an existing one. What new insights could you uncover using these tools? If you could take your data and use your time efficiently using these tools and to automate your data collection, what do you think you would discover? Start out simply and add complexity as you get more comfortable with using these tools.